Welcome to the Downtown, brought to you by Arlington Citizen Media. I am Daryl Smith Jr., and across the internet for me is...
I am Rody John, and across the interwebs for me is...
Amy. On today's show, we speak to District 3 City Council candidates Nikki Hunter, Alexis Lupian, and Diana Saleh about what they hope to accomplish if elected and what they hope for the future of Arlington.
We also speak with District 4 City Councilman Andrew Piel about why he's running for re-election and what he sees for the future of Arlington.
Great. So, what have you guys been up to?
What have we been up to? We literally saw each other on Saturday and Sunday. It was a whole weekend of events.
Yeah.
We talked at Chattanoo, Arlington Nights Chattanoo. It was a good little turnout. We saw some good live music. Man, that steel player, man, he was knocking it out of the park. Just like walked up on the first dude's set and was like, "Yeah, I'll play with you a little bit." Like, just killing it.
That's what Chattanoo is all about, though. It's about networking and beyond that, just meeting and interacting with other musicians and people who love the city. I mean, we're not necessarily a music podcast, but we always show up because it's something that's important to us.
Well, we do love showing off the arts, and we love, obviously, with our fundraiser we did last year, showing off the amazing live musicians we have in the Metroplex, and then working very closely with Arlington Nights. Again, the giant thank you to David Coun.
You two are on the board.
Well, I mean, I didn't want to toot our own horn here, but we are trying to make moves and make the city better and more open to live music and the arts in general.
And not just that, but local musicians getting to play in important venues. That's kind of what Arlington Nights is all about, and that's something we push forward to.
Right. I mean, we got September Moon opening up for people at the Levitt coming up, and then they're going to be at a huge festival that will be happening first weekend in October. So, I mean, and this is just a stepping stone. They're going to be massive. September Moon is incredible.
Going to say. They are going to
Amy and I talked about that after the Chattanoo. I said, man, that band is going to be like, like Dogecoin right to the moon. Thanks, Elon Musk. No, I do dabble in cryptocurrency, but not that one. I don't have a good feeling about that. That feels like a bad investment.
Nope. I'm going to spend $50 and I'm going to make $100 million.
Seriously though, if you had invested, when you got your first stimulus check, if you had invested $1,000, I think you'd have like $40,000 today.
Oh man.
Because it was like less than a cent. It was like a half a cent, then, and now it's like 37 cents.
Whoops.
So. You missed out. You missed out on the rocket to the moon. I think that's the moon for Dogecoin. I don't know how we got onto that. That's not really Arlington related. I mean, I guess cryptocurrency decentralizes financial systems, and then everything's fair game. But and that includes Arlington. I was going to
bring it back around because the fact that I'm still sitting on my stimulus is that we're trying to move into a rent house in Arlington, and it is crazy. Let me just say, we have the money to spend for whatever kind of last month rent, any of that. We have plenty of proof that we can pay for it. And every time we think we find a house, boom, somebody grabs it. And they will offer more than what they're even asking. So Arlington, just zooming and booming.
So if there's any realtors out there that can, in fact, help Amy in her endeavor of trying to find a new rental house, need at least, 3-bedroom, maybe 2 or 3 bath?
4-bedroom,
4-bedroom.
3-bathroom.
There we go.
Actually, we're in a contract with the realtor, so I can't accept.
Oh, well, then maybe they can give you some pointers in the right direction.
Yes, we've asked.
Yes. But we did have a fantastic recording day this past Saturday. We had Mark Jokel and UTA Football Club talking about what's happening on the football team. I'm sorry. I mean, their club team. In Europe they
are a club.
Yeah.
I don't think they're that kind
They're
of football.
a gang, I think.
They are not a gang. They're very cool people who are doing really good things for the city that the city sorely needs. And I'm excited for people to hear them. Don't stop calling them kids. They're adults, man. We're all adults here. Everyone's adults. We're all here making the city a better place, no matter your age group.
Brody, we had a wonderful time talking to the UTA football team, which of course isn't actually football. That's the joke.
Yeah.
It's about local music, and they're great.
It's about art. They're like an art in general club. Music is part of what they do. They're also big into visual arts, and they're basically the UTA art club, except they're the football team. And if you don't know about them, go check them out on social media. You'll find all kinds of cool stuff. Right now they're doing a series on their Instagram, homemade like flyers for the West Main Arts Festival, which is pretty cool. You get to see the creativity of the members as they're showcasing what they're into. Like one of them had mushrooms on it, and like one of them had like a shot of the East Main Arts Festival a couple of years ago, and like a sun. Just a lot of really cool, fun stuff. Like good for them.
And look forward to our interview with them because they are talking about a zine that will be available at the West Main Arts Festival. That is about the Evans Vacuum Store on Cooper, which we all have seen, we all have loved. It's an Arlington staple, and they went and interviewed the owners, and just incredible. I can't wait. I'm gonna buy it. I can't wait.
Yeah, we all have our own theories about what that place is and what's in those giant vacuums, but you could find out for yourself inside the zine.
Yes. All right, we are here with Diana Saleh. She is running for Arlington City Council, District 3. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Amy.
Great.
So I guess the first question, how long have you been in Arlington?
I've been in Arlington a little over 8 years.
Okay,
so
wow.
Moved out here right after undergrad, just looking at places that were great for young professionals, and I have family out here, so it was just the perfect mix of things, and just have enjoyed living here in the community that I've managed to become a part of in the process.
Right. So what do you love most about the city of Arlington?
I love the people, honestly. I've met incredible people throughout, with the different organizations that I've been a part of. My neighbors are amazing. I mean, there's just nothing like it. We're a larger city, but it still kind of has that small town feel where people know their neighbors and know each other, and so I really enjoyed that.
We get that a lot. There's a lot of we have a lot of big amenities here. Obviously, we have the stadiums. We have a downtown that's being revitalized, but we have a lot of neighborhoods and a lot of people that live here, not just work here or do fun stuff here. And I've heard from many people that it has a small town feel, even though it's not a small town.
Right.
Which, I think is probably a pretty accurate description of the city of Arlington.
Absolutely. And everyone's just been so kind. I mean, just for context, I grew up in New York City.
Oh, wow.
And so definitely not a place where you get to know your neighbors often. I mean, I've always been a people person, so anyone that's willing to talk to me, I will always talk to. So I definitely managed to still meet people, but it's not the norm.
Yeah.
But I feel like where it is here, you could get out of your car and just be parked at the supermarket and someone will start a conversation with you to the door, right? So it has that charm.
Yeah, absolutely. So why are you running for city council?
That's a great question. Similar to what I've shared about community and people, and I think I've just been really fortunate to have made so many incredible friends and people that I've considered family, and thinking about what community looks like for us and for them and for the city at large. I've really wanting to be an advocate for the community, for folks that their voices often go unheard at City Hall. I think it's no surprise that Arlington has a little bit of an equity issue.
Sure.
And so just as someone that's lived in Southeast Arlington, and East Arlington also gets overlooked often. So I think there's that desire to be a champion for folks. And most importantly, I think what a better example than this past week. You know, there's a lot of things that have happened this week that have been really unfortunate, but a lot of our planning has been reactive, and it just makes you step back and wonder why.
Yeah.
Why were people not alerted of warming stations earlier? Why are the resources for such a diverse city? Why is the communication that's being put out not in multiple languages? You know, just things like that. And the way that I view the world and the world around me has always been through the lens of equity and empathy. And I'm definitely a person that, you know, not only believes very passionately about things, but wants to put in the work to make that happen. And so, you know, the seat is open, and I definitely wanted to put my hat in the ring and get out there and do the work.
Yeah. So kind of piggybacking off of that, what can your constituents expect from you if you win? I mean, you've kind of talked a little bit about having a seat at the table, but like what else, you know, might they expect?
Yeah. So again, just I'm a person that you know, I don't say things just to say them. I'm definitely the type of person that likes collaborating, and I think that's often something that's missing out of the equation, especially when you're thinking of elected officials just at large.
Right.
I enjoy that collaboration. I admit when I don't know something, so I'm not always the person that knows, you know, everything, but I think all of us know something, and together we can come up with great solutions. And just for me personally, just to give you a little bit of a background, I'm first generation American, so I have immigrant parents, and you know, early on in life I found myself in a position where I was the advocate for my family, for the folks around me, for our extended, you know, immigrant community. So I feel like every experience I've had up until now has kind of prepared me to be in this space of where you can advocate for folks. It's definitely, you know, I'm also the eldest of 5, so there is something to be said about, you know, the oldest child being the person that kind of takes the reins often in situations. And so that's, you know, what folks can expect is commitment, is someone that will hear you, someone that will listen. We don't necessarily always have to agree on things, but, you know, something that I've always been, you know, a champion of is collaboration, and someone that will do the work. I mean, I'm ready. Just put me in.
So I think it's good that you talk about collaboration. One of the things that we've found since we've started and we started this podcast almost 2 years ago, has been the sense of collaboration that's out there in the city of Arlington. And it's not just, you know, we interview a lot of artists and musicians, but it's between businesses. It's between, you know, we talk to a lot of sitting city council members, you know, and there is a sense of we should band together and do this, like, together, because we are a community at the end of the day. Like, we are, yes, there are parts of the cities, East Arlington, West Arlington, Southwest Arlington, whatever. But, like, at the end of it, we're all the city of Arlington, and the collaboration is how things get done, how good things get done.
Right. We're that big, small town that everybody talks about.
Right, yeah.
So what do you find to be the biggest issue facing the citizens of Arlington right now?
So that's also just a really incredible question, because, again, just in my focus on community, I've had many conversations with folks both in my district and in Arlington, and all of the conversations that we have circle back to transparency and accountability. And so many people don't understand how things work in the city and where their tax dollars go. And many folks that I've even just, you know, in trying to introduce myself as a candidate, don't know their current city council person.
Right, exactly.
And that's, you know, folks are sometimes not politically engaged, but I think now more than ever, it's important that we do know who our elected officials are. We hold them accountable to things, because otherwise, you know, again, our voices aren't heard. So just in that space, you know, from what folks have told me, it's that transparency, accountability. It goes back to equity. Equity is an issue as well. The resources aren't dispersed evenly throughout the city. And that's not to say, I mean, there's a lot of really great things to celebrate within Arlington, but there's always, in any situation, there's room for improvement. I think another, issue that consistently comes up is, especially now after the difficult year that we've had through COVID, is livable wages. People want opportunities that aren't just, minimum wage jobs, the opportunities that they could actually support their families on. And there's been a considerable investment in the entertainment district. But outside of that, what other areas can we look towards expanding and diversifying our local economy so that these opportunities are available across the board?
Yeah, we actually had Councilman Raul Gonzalez on here, and that's one of the things he's talked about too, is making sure that we have jobs that are pay well and they stay here and they go to people that live here, and that we have the opportunity at least for them to go to the people that live here, instead of like I live here and I've lived here for like 30 years but I work in Carrollton, so like there's just not, like, we don't have those. We do have big businesses here, like we have GM, we have DR Horton, but we don't have the same level of businesses that Dallas does or Fort Worth does, or those big businesses that produce those kind of jobs.
Right, and we have all these UTA students, and we want to keep them here. We don't want them to graduate and then go off somewhere else because they can't find a job here.
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't go to UTA myself, but
Daryl over here did.
Mab up.
Yep.
Oh, yay. I have actually 2 siblings that graduated from UTA and a third on the way, so we're definitely a Maverick family, but that is an incredible resource that I don't feel like we've tapped into to the extent that we should. If you look at other large cities, or cities even the size of Arlington, I mean, their campuses are filled with incredible talent that they continuously utilize. In terms of, again, collaboration and partnerships with talented young individuals that look at things from a very innovative way, and that could help us solve whether that's infrastructure issues or
housing issues,
or tapping into our business students for entrepreneurial ideas. I mean, it's just brimming with possibilities, and we unfortunately have not tapped into it. And so with that, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I also, prior to COVID, had to commute all the way to Las Colinas, and that's a pretty brutal commute.
Yeah, it is. It's not fun.
Well, especially 360 the way it is right now, too.
It is, absolutely. And so if it wasn't for the fact that I absolutely love living here, it's not an easy commute to make. And so I feel really, really strongly about, planting roots here and staying here, but that's not always the case. Not everyone has that opportunity. And so you have so many students that come here, go to UTA, or even our TCC campus, which is an incredible school as well, and then unfortunately leave because the opportunities aren't here. They're in Dallas, or they're all the way out in Plano, or even in some instances outside of Texas. So how do we keep our younger citizens here? How do we continue to encourage young professionals to come here, or young families to come here, and of course retain the citizens that we do have?
Right, exactly.
So, thinking about this and thinking about the future, what do you see for Arlington in 10 years? What does it look like?
What does the city of Arlington look like to you in 10 years? Hopefully, it's everything that I'm championing. It's an equitable place. The city, as we've all seen, is continuing to grow, which is incredible. But with that growth comes unique challenges, and we have to be able to prepare for that. And I say challenges in the sense that you have to be able to support the population that's here, whether that's housing or, again, economic opportunities, or even just making sure that our schools are equipped with all the resources that they need. So I look forward to that incredible growth and all the possibilities that come with that. But I think in order to get there and to make sure that we're not left behind as the cities around us also continue to grow, that there has to be that strategic planning. And again, we can't always be reactive. We can't just wait for 10 years to happen and then the population's grown. Or,
what do we do now?
What do we do now? We need to start now, and that's, I might not be in the position to do that 10 years from now, but at least if I'm there, I know that I'll put in the work to start planting the seeds, building the foundation, strategically planning and collaborating with other individuals so that the folks that come after us that serve in the city council or are on all the different boards in Arlington, have the tools that they need to see it forward.
Right.
We have a friend who grew up here and went to UTA here, but he lives in Galveston now, and I was talking to him last night. And he talked about how Arlington is a pretty landlocked city. Like, we don't have a lot of, like, places to grow anymore, right? Like, yeah, parts of southeast Arlington, like, at the bottom, we have a lot of room down there. But, like, as far as, like, housing or, like, even new businesses, we're kind of going to have to look at more density options, right? Like, and that's not something that a lot of people in the city like talking about, but how do you get more housing here if you can't be more dense about it? Because you can't build single-family homes forever. Right. We just don't have the room for that anymore. We're surrounded by all these other cities that are also, continuing to grow, and it's not like we can annex Grand Prairie or anything like that,
Right.
So, there's going to be some unique challenges that we're going to have to deal with in the next 10 years, and I hope that we do good and make this city even better, because I love this city. Right. I'm a champion for this city to anyone that listens to me or talks to me. Yep. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens, and I hope that we have more of those good ideas and can rise to those challenges.
Mm-hmm. That out.
So we kind of turning to something more fun. We have a segment on the show that we call the Tournament of Toppings. We are trying to find the best pizza place in Arlington. Do you have a favorite pizza place in the city?
Ooh, if there's one thing about me, I love all pizza.
So. Me too.
No.
I have about 5 favorite places. So.
Well, you're from New York, so you're used to that style of pizza, obviously. But.
Yeah, but I've also, I've come to enjoy, deep dish when I travel to Chicago. So it's, I love all pizza in its forms. I will say that I find myself going back to mellow mushroom quite a bit. Yeah. Mellow mushroom's really good. There's a Cane Rosso that just opened up. That's always really good. Those are the two that I find myself gravitating to the most. But if you have any that I'm not aware of, or
old school, right across the street.
Old school. Old school's really good too. Right. Yes, I've frequented. It's a little further of a drive for me.
I was gonna say, if you're in Southeast Arlington, it's a little bit,
But when I am out here, that's a really good option. Any others? Because you said you have top.
Brooklyn's best in your area.
Yep. Brooklyn's best. I'm up here now. Like, I live probably like half a mile that way now. So Prespa's, I've heard, I think it's Prespa's.
Good. Yeah, it's Sublet and 287. So it's Southwest Arlington, but that place is really good as well. Yeah. And that place is BYOB as well. So, if people want to follow you, support you, donate, where can they find you on social media, and what's your website?
Oh, thank you. So, yes, we could use, it takes all hands on deck. So, if you're interested in volunteering or even have $5 to spare, because we definitely, every dollar donated goes to reaching out to voters and just making sure that we have a lot of outreach efforts. It's not just about campaigning. It's not, there's so much that our communities need, but in reaching out to voters, we're also making sure that folks are registered to get their COVID vaccine. We're phone banking later today to do wellness checks on our citizens that are 65 and older to make sure that their needs are met, that they're, if they need water, we'll deliver it and all that good stuff. So if you want to volunteer, we would certainly love to have you. There's a ton of information on my website, which is Diana for Arlington. We're also on all of the socials at Diana for Arlington as well. The links are all up to volunteer. We have a lot of really great upcoming events scheduled for phone banking and block walking, safe block walking, of course. And we also have an event March 6th. It's a drive-through event, so there's more details to follow. This past week has kind of thrown a wrench in our logistics planning, but we're adapting quickly and making sure everything's in place, but it's still scheduled for March 6th. It's a drive-through event to, again, get registered to vote, most importantly. We want everyone's voice heard, whether that's, you're voting in a city council race or the upcoming mayoral race, which is also really important. And also, again, COVID vaccinations. There will be food distribution as well for individuals that, could use that. So we're, again, Diana for Arlington is where you can find all of that great information across all socials and the website.
Is it the number 4 or is it the word 4?
The word 4.
Okay, make it sure.
Yes.
You never know.
Good clarification.
Yeah.
Good call out.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. It was great to speak with you in person. We're looking forward to see how this race turns out. So good luck, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed talking to you all, and just thrilled to talk all things Arlington.
Yeah.
And,
Great, we are too.
Yeah.
We are here with Alexis Lupian. She is running for Arlington City Council in District 3. How are you doing? Good. We're talking about this storm and how everything's kind of coming back on for some people, not everybody, but looks like everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that.
So our first question for you is, how long have you lived in Arlington?
Well, this time I've been here for about 3 years, but my husband is active duty Navy. Oh. So prior to that, we were stationed in California for 6 years. And then before that, I lived here for many years. So I've been here for a while, off and on.
Well, thank him for his service for us.
Yeah.
So what do you love most about the city of Arlington?
I think the thing I love the most about this city is just all the different people you see. It's very diverse. We have a lot going on here, from the stadiums and all the different businesses owned by a lot of different people. I think the diversity is probably the thing I'm most proud of in the city.
But what made you decide to run for city council?
So I've been kind of into politics for the last couple of years, getting more involved with that. And I just came to the realization one day that it's like, you know what, you can complain about it on Facebook as much as you like, but until you're actually willing to do something about it, that's when you kind of cross that threshold of actually getting serious and actually helping. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt says you got to get in the arena.
There you go.
Make a difference.
Absolutely.
So kind of talking about that, what would your constituents expect from you if you were to win?
Well, if I were to win, I'm a pretty progressive person. So they could expect a lot of probably new creative ideas, building more on our economic development. I'd focus a lot on public safety as a top priority of mine, trying to provide more common sense resources for, like our police force, et cetera. I have 2 small girls in school here, so obviously education is super important to me. I ran into some issues with my oldest daughter in her elementary school right up the road from us a couple of years ago, and had to pull her from the school because she was getting bullied so badly. And I noticed through that process that it was basically due to a lack of eyes on the kids. You've got one teacher in a room with 30 plus students and really no supporting staff in the background, like counselors and things like that, to help the school, like, be able to, nip things in the bud as they happen. Mm. So they were just okay with leaving my daughter in a classroom with her bully every single day. And it was just wearing her down, and her grades were slipping, and it was awful. So, and I just don't want that to happen to other kids. I think there's some common sense ways that we can go about, maybe staffing our schools a little more smartly, maybe putting a couple more counselors there, or maybe having some sort of, maybe like a mandatory counselor session with the students, just so they can get a sense of what the kids are going through at home. That way they can sort of nip things in the bud before they happen or become a problem in the schools.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. And then on top of that, obviously I'm for, continuing funding for our public parks, public spaces. That's all super duper important. I'm also a small business owner. So I know it's really difficult, especially during the pandemic, to stay afloat. So I'm really excited. I'd be interested to come up with some more creative ideas. I've already seen a lot of really interesting ways that people have stayed in business. So I would look forward to, furthering discussions on how to keep that going, keep that momentum going. And there's no reason why after a pandemic ends that you can't keep being creative within business,
Right, exactly.
And pretty much just, those are like my big points that I'm mostly interested in pushing.
Well, with all that being said, what do you find to be the biggest issue facing the citizens of Arlington right now? Besides the pandemic?
Honestly, right now, I think right now, obviously, it's this weather storm. But aside from that, I think mostly from my point of view, it's education. It's getting these kids in comfortable environments where they feel safe and nurtured and heard. I know a lot of some of the schools in the area are really good at reaching out to like students' families and providing, meal services and stuff like that. But I would like to expand that and also focus a little bit more on mental health, because I think that just as a country as a whole, I think our mental health tends to take a back burner to everything else. And I don't think that the city of Arlington's any different in that arena. And it would be really cool if we can catch them while they're young, get their mental health right, on the right track while they're young, teach them the tools they need to, deal with a pandemic or a winter storm or just anything that happens in their day-to-day life at home,
So, you talked a lot about stuff that you'd like to see happen now. Thinking 10 years down the road, what does the city of Arlington look like to you ideally? Like what has changed? What's different? What do you hope to see happen by then?
Well, I can base it off of like the last 10 years. Just in my particular neck of the woods, things have just completely exploded. It's expanded, businesses popping up all over the place. What I'd like to see is a continuation of that, obviously. But also I'd like to see our older sections of the city being shown the same care and respect as the newer portions. I don't want to let our, downtown areas go to waste. I like the way that they've been developing and redeveloping that area. So I'd like to continue that, as well as coming up with new ideas for businesses to have more people who live here own and operate their own businesses, to have more of a stake in the community versus, obviously we welcome people coming in and opening business here because that's good for us as well, but giving the people who actually live here that opportunity as well would be really important to me. And I'd like to see more of that going forward within the next 10 years.
Right. Like Whataburger, we all know and love, and it took over Texas. It started somewhere. So it's got to.
Exactly.
Yeah. Why can't we have the next Whataburger, the Domino's?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we kind of talking about food. We have a segment we've been working on called the Determinant of Toppings, where we are trying to find the best pizza place in Arlington. Where is your favorite pizza place?
So I actually recently ordered from, it's an Italian spot. It's called Italy. And I want to say it's on Abram. But it was my first time ordering there, and they have that like New York style pizza that's got the thin crust and the really melty cheese. And I really like food. So if you guys need help finding more pizza places, okay, I'm definitely on board with that.
Yeah, I mean, we always look for more, not only pizza, but wings and burgers or anything.
Oh, yes. I have the scoop on a couple of really good spots for food.
Well, we'll definitely come back and talk to you about these then.
Awesome.
Yeah. So where can people follow you, support you, donate, and just find you on social media?
I'm doing this on my own. This is my first time running for any kind of public office. I don't have a campaign manager. I don't have a staff. It's just me for now. But you can reach me at alexis.lupien@yahoo.com. If you have any questions, or if you want to donate or just have a chat, that's a good way to get to me.
Yeah, could you spell that for people just in case they want to check you out and don't? I mean, you.
Oh, for sure. I know my name's weird, so it's
interesting.
it's ALIXIS.LUPIEN@yahoo.com.
There you go.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking with us. Well, through Zoom.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing how this race turns out, and good luck.
Thank you so much.
With Nikki Hunter. She is running for City Council candidate, District 3. How are you this morning?
I am doing great. Thank you guys for having me on today.
Thanks for coming on. So how long have you lived in Arlington?
Wow. I have lived here since I was in the first grade with the John Elementary. Quite some time ago.
No, I went to Little Elementary back when there was a separate school. I believe it's an archery, which I didn't realize Arlington had one until I drove by the other day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Archery, yeah.
So, being here basically your entire life, what do you love the most about the city?
I love the community. Arlington has an amazing community. Just look at just this past week, how when we had this ice storm, how people just reached out wanting to help people. I can't tell you guys how much it just, made my heart just grow, seeing people, offering water, offering food, offering firewood. I've even seen people saying, hey, we still have our heat. You can come and stay here just to warm up. I mean, it's just that loving community feel is the thing that I've always loved the most about Arlington.
Right. I mean, there were so many places of business that just said, hey, come here, warm up, charge up. You don't have to buy anything. Just, make sure
just get warm. Yeah.
It was beautiful to see. So why are you running for city council?
I am running because I live in District 3. I love District 3. And I want, I've always kind of been behind the scenes in the community, out doing things. And I want to just lend my leadership to this district. We're an amazing district over here in District 3. We're a growing district, and, we have wonderful community, wonderful neighborhoods. And I think I can definitely, give back to my community in that form on there.
Great. So if you win, what can your constituents expect from you?
Very good question. Well, you can definitely expect me. I'm all for keeping, property taxes low, keeping our streets repaired, and definitely funding our officers, properly funding our police officers and firefighters. But even more than that, at the end of the day, I am for the community. I am for our neighborhoods here in Southeast Arlington, right. Keeping our neighborhoods safe, keeping our neighborhoods clean. So I think definitely they can expect to see someone that's definitely going to continue to roll up their sleeves, getting out in the community, making sure that our communities are doing good and our neighborhoods are doing good over here in Southeast Arlington.
I believe the same. I mean, that whole area is just growing so much, and it's just becoming different, but also there's so much community happening over there.
Yes, definitely.
So what do you find is the biggest issue facing the citizens of Arlington right now? Well, besides obviously thawing out from the storm.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Even before that, I think it's not just facing Arlington, it's just facing, around the world is the pandemic. I mean, you can't have any conversation without talking about the pandemic, because the pandemic is still here. Right. We have an ice storm, but there's still the pandemic. Just the biggest issue is just, making sure that we get everybody that wants to be vaccinated. And keeping our residents safe. That's going to definitely be the biggest issue that we're facing in Arlington, as far as other cities they're also facing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So think about 10 years from now. What does the city of Arlington look like to you?
Oh, wow. 10 years from now, I think we will definitely be bigger. We will be an amazing city of growth. There's so much opportunity that's right here in Arlington right now in 2021. Just think about, 10 years from now, I think we will be a very growing, budding, prosperous city in 10 years from now. I think there will be a lot of diversity. You already kind of see that in Arlington. Arlington is a very diverse city. It's an amazing diverse city. We're probably one of the most diverse cities around in the DFW area. So I think you will continue to see that. But more than ever, you'll see small businesses continue to grow here in Arlington, which is what we want. We want that.
Exactly. So we have a segment on the show called Tournament of Toppings. What is your favorite pizza place in Arlington?
Pizza place. Okay. I still am going to have to go with old school pizza.
Yeah. you're not wrong.
The best pizza ever. What is it? Their Mediterranean pizza.
Oh.
The best ever.
Yeah, we love it. We go there all the time. Mm-hmm. Our office we are recording in is right behind it. So,
oh my God, you're so lucky.
So we walk there every time we have a recording day. So where can people follow you, support, donate?
You can find me on my website, and it's Nikkie4dis3.com. Or, of course, you can find me on Facebook, Nikkie Hunter for District 3. I'm also on Twitter, also on Instagram, kind of all over the place on there. But definitely my website and Facebook will be the top two places. If anybody wants to volunteer, you can definitely go on my website and sign up. Would love to have volunteers. If anybody would like to donate, you're more than welcome to do that as well on there.
Great.
Yeah, Nikkie, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to talking to you after this, and hopefully in a different capacity.
Absolutely, guys. You stay warm and have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Andrew Piel, the City Councilman for District 4, and you are running for re-election. How are you today, sir?
Good. Happy to be with you today and happy to answer your questions, sir.
I appreciate you being on here with us. So, how long have you lived in Arlington?
I was born in Arlington in February of 1972. For 49 years, I've lived in Arlington. Although I did take some time in the 1990s where I was down at UT Austin to get an undergraduate degree and a law degree at the law school there. But my permanent residence has always been in Arlington, even during that time.
Wow, very nice. So what do you love most about the city of Arlington?
The people. I think that Arlington is full of genuine, unpretentious, hardworking, well-meaning people. And, I've had opportunities to move elsewhere, but what has always kept me in Arlington is these people who, through their selfless acts and hard work and belief in their neighborhoods and their families, actually helped shape me as a human being, as a man, as I was growing up. I mean, Arlington is just a good place to have friends, raise a family, and build lifelong relationships that really make life rich because at the end of the day, life is about the relationships with other souls you have and not about the stuff you have. And I've always found Arlington is a great place to make those connections and just have good friends, hang out, work hard, and laugh a lot,
I believe the exact same thing. I mean, you can't take the things with you, but you can always take the experiences with you.
Exactly. I have friends in Arlington I've known since I was in preschool. I have the same friends that I've had since I had at Ditto Elementary School and Young Junior High and Martin High School, and from all the other schools in Arlington through the church I grew up in, First Presbyterian. And as you get older, you really appreciate those bonds because those people know who you really are. And when you're busy adulting, you don't have as much time to build those relationships as deep and as strong as you would like. But those way back from when you used to sit around for hours on the couch talking to each other, playing video games, or just talking on the phone, the foundation built in those relationships lasts forever. And I've got a lot of those foundations in Arlington that keep me tied really close to the city. And serving them on city council, serving these people who I've loved all my life, really is one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done.
Right. Well, that leads us right to the next question. Why are you running for re-election for city council?
I still feel like I have some work to do and some guidance to give and some service to perform for the people of Arlington that helped shape me. The last 2 years, we finally finished our what was my little kind of geeky thing. I'm a construction law attorney, and about 30% of my litigation involves drainage problems. I also live on Rush Creek. My backyard is Rush Creek, and on the other side is Veterans Park. And as Arlington has gotten more and more built out, we have a lot of flooding and drainage problems, especially when we do infill development and also because there's been a lot of upstream build out in Mansfield on the Rush Creek watershed and in Pantego and Dalworthington Gardens. If you drive off Indian Trails in Dalworthington Gardens, you see a lot of new housing developments out there. And the increase in impermeable surface has caused a lot more water runoff. And as properties age and things are built up around them, sometimes, certain water features and infrastructure features can start to fail in an older city. And I'm really proud of the fact that because of my obsession with drainage and flooding issues, that Arlington finally, for the first time ever in the history of the city, has a citywide comprehensive flooding and drainage mitigation plan where we evaluated every single flooding and drainage issue in the city, along with the FEMA maps for flooding and that sort of thing, and prioritized all our problems as either a code red problem, meaning there's an imminent life safety and we must fund the improvement to repair that quickly. Yellow, this is going to be a problem. Or green, manageable. And what this document does is allow whenever taxpayer dollars are to be utilized to diminish flooding or drainage problems, it's based on data. It's not based on who's friends with the city councilman or who gets shouts the loudest. It all goes off data. And I think that that's one of the things that the people of Arlington deserve, is to have the taxpayer money they pay in, because the city's all paid for by the property owners and homeowners in Arlington. They need to know that their money is being spent in a way that's fair, that addresses the worst problems first, and that is effective. I mean, government is the efficient allocation of scarce resources. And if the resources aren't scarce, meaning tax dollars, taxes are probably too high. So, that was something I was really proud of. And I would like to continue to see the list of projects on that matrix, that project matrix, be attacked some over time. In addition, I'm chair of the Economic Development Committee on the council. And Arlington now has a Economic Development Corporation, which will raise somewhere between $14 to $17 million from the people who spend money on sales tax in Arlington, and can be utilized in a targeted fashion to improve economic conditions all over Arlington. And I really want to be a part of implementing that program. One of the things, the core reason why I ran for city council is because Arlington has a lot of aging 60s, 70s, and 80s homes that need to have new young families come into and spend their own money to rip out the 1980s dark living room wall paneling and the mustard colored appliances and those Formica countertops from the 80s. And I grew up in a house on a little road where my parents still live that has all that, Right. And one thing government cannot do and should not do is it shouldn't go into everybody's house and fix it up for them. We need to encourage people to do that on their own. And thank goodness for Chip and Joanna Gaines, because they have every single young person, I think, in America having no fear when it comes to fixing up an old home. What's that stuff called? Shiplap? I can't remember what they use in that show a lot. But so whenever I make a decision on city council, it goes back to that existential challenge. How do we get people to buy our older houses and fix them up with their own money? And, the flooding mitigation is an important part of that, because nobody's going to buy a 60s, 70s, or 80s Arlington house if it floods, right? Right. And then second to that is people buy houses where there are certain adjacent economic amenities that make them feel comfortable about the neighborhood. And, I talk a lot with the Arlington Board of Realtors called Arbor, and I ask real estate agents, what in Arlington makes people buy houses here or makes them not want to buy a house here. And a lot of that has to do with the visual curbside appeal of what they drive by in Arlington. And one of the issues we have in Arlington is everybody in Arlington who's lived here, especially those of us who've lived here when everything was brand new in this city in the 80s, now have something they drive by every day that's fallen into disrepair, that's ugly, that they wish would be torn down. And one of the things the Economic Development Corporation can assist with is closing the gap between demolition costs and new development. And what that means is if you go down to a greenfield site in Midlothian or Waxahachie that has nothing ever built on it before, the loan you get to build that from the bank to build your new building or your new business is much less than the loan you have to get in Arlington, where you have to get a loan not just to build a new building, but to demolish the old building, get rid of the asbestos and all the old pipes in the ground from the prior civil improvements. And only then can you start to build your new building. And that has been somewhat of a challenge to getting people to replace older, decrepit, substandard structures in Arlington with newer, vibrant, more economically attractive businesses that make people want to buy houses here. And I'd like to be part of the team that utilizes the Economic Development Corporation to tear some ugly things down so we can get some fresh economic development in the city that makes people feel comfortable living here in their homes.
It's true. I mean, people aren't going to want to drive around and just see a bunch of decrepit old stuff. I mean, not that old stuff can't be, put with a new facelift, put a new coat of paint on it, and it's newer again. But, I mean, like you said, if they're having to spend even more money just to tear everything down and then start over again, it's kind of a wash at that point.
Yeah, they'll go other places and take their new business somewhere else. And let me tell you, though, when I was in Austin, there were a lot of older structures around the UT campus that were cool because they had character. Okay. And you see some of that in Arlington, and we should also facilitate the transformation of older structures and repurposing of them into more, I guess, for lack of a better, authentic and funky uses. I mean, you look at Urban Union. Those were a bunch of car repair buildings, right? Now it's a cool place to hang out. You look at J.R. Bentley's. That's kind of an old house, but that's a neat place to go hang out and have a beer. So I don't want to paint with an overbroad brush. I don't want people to think, Andrew wants to tear down everything old in Arlington. No. Sometimes some of your older things have the most authenticity and have the most capability to become a unique experience. And because, when I was growing up, everybody always made fun of Arlington, saying it was home of Applebee's and Chili's and Bennigan's, and that was it. It was all chains, right? Well, now we really have some unique businesses here that we should also use the Economic Development Corporation to nurture and grow, like the Fork in the Road. And, the restaurant, great restaurant. There's Chop House Burgers on Little Road next to my parents' house. Hurtado Barbecue. Something that's unique that gives the city character also goes back to making people feel comfortable with buying an older house near it and fixing it up. So, there's a lot of different aspects to making Arlington a good place where you want to raise your family. And I feel like there's a lot of work I can still contribute to try to help Arlington find places, because with my construction law background, I'm very acquainted with development, construction, rehabilitation, and the contracts and capital and loan agreements that have to be in place to make all that possible. And, down off I-20, we used to have a corridor we called the Technology Corridor back in the 80s and 90s, where we wanted a bunch of high-tech companies to locate. And it was very humbling for Arlington, because Arlington created this large area of open land and said, bring all your high-tech companies here, and they didn't come. There was one, National Semiconductor, but they're gone now, because the marketplace dictated that it becomes something else. And I'm humble enough to understand that the marketplace has a mind of its own and shifts of its own, and it's now a very vibrant retail area. And there are many warehouses that a lot of people down there have said isn't as nice as an office building would be. But, last year during COVID, all the internet sales out of all those warehouses, the sales tax revenue we got off all those sales really helped the city budget during an economic depression. So you really have to have a sophisticated understanding as a government that you can't make the market go exactly where you want to go, because the market has forces of its own when it allocates economic forces efficiently. But you can enhance and take advantage of market trends to benefit the people of Arlington. And I feel like that I'm have the skill set to contribute to a team effort to do that for you and everybody else that owns a house in Arlington.
Right, exactly. So what can your constituents expect from you if you are reelected?
Well, I would say that they can expect from me continuing focus on fiscal responsibility. I think that Arlington has been really conservatively budgeted and run over the past several years, as evidenced by our AAA bond rating. We pay the least amount of interest for any debt we fund of almost any other city in the country. I think they can count on transparency. You know, there not being any backroom deals. Anything that goes on will be published and be open for sunlight for everybody to look at and talk about. I'm committed to that. I think they can expect someone who takes the Unity Council recommendation seriously and looks to use the tools at the city to embrace the recommendations made by the Unity Council and continue to work to lift everybody in Arlington up so that they can control their own economic destiny, no matter their race, color, creed, or background. Because, you know, at the end of the day, one of the great things about Arlington, you may have seen this, Wallet Hub rated us the 8th most diverse city in the country. I mean, right there with Los Angeles and Houston. Did you see that?
I didn't, but I did see that UTA was the most diverse college in Texas.
Absolutely. And let me tell you one of the advantages Arlington has. Arlington is too new to have the built-in anger and grudges from Jim Crow in the 60s. Arlington basically grew from the 70s and 80s into a very strong, multi-colored, diverse city. And we get along. And we work hard with each other. And we listen to each other. And we respect each other. And we, you know, I really want to work to lift up all the children in this city. So no matter where they come from, whenever we see a young person getting a high school degree or getting their first job or going to college or, you know, buying their first house, we all sit back and celebrate that no matter what color they are. And I really have a dream that Arlington can be an example to the entire country of what this country can be if we work with our diversity and learn from each other. My wife is Mexican American, and one of the reasons why we like living here is because whenever you, like my daughter made the spelling bee finals, and I went down to the Arlington ISD admin building for the citywide elementary school spelling bee finals, and you look through all the finalists from all the schools throughout Arlington, and it looked like traveling around the world. Yeah. My kids are absolutely comfortable with people from different backgrounds and being able to relate with them. Arlington looks like the world they're going to do business in and live in when they get older. That's a remarkable advantage for a young person to have, and that's something I hope to continue to help grow in Arlington. We're looking at making East Pioneer Street a corridor where we celebrate all the different cuisines that are served on Pioneer. I mean, if you start in my district on Pioneer at Chatala and go east on Pioneer, you can get all sorts of fine cuisine, excellent Vietnamese pho, you know, and we should be able to celebrate and lift that up as an economic generator. You know, come to Arlington and go around the world on one street, you know. So those are the things I'm interested in. And at the end of the day, too, I'm also interested in keeping the people of Arlington safe, and that means all the people of Arlington safe. You know, we have a police department that has worked really hard to build trust with all the communities in Arlington to avoid the us versus them dynamic that makes law enforcement a negative force in some contexts, that works hard to de-escalate and be a peacemaker, but apply firm force when people need to feel safe. And that's something I'm also committed to doing, fully funding the police, but also making sure the police never stop working to build trust bonds with all of Arlington's communities. I don't know if you ever had friends from the African American background, and I remember being told by them that when they were 13, their parents sat them down and said, look, if you deal with a police officer, you have to know these things. And it was called the talk. You know, Every single African American young man's parents gave them the talk whenever they were 13 or so because of fear of police. I would really like for every single person from any background in Arlington when they raise their kid not to feel like they have to have that talk. And I hope we can get there someday. It's a long way to go, and we have a lot of work to do, but with listening, effort, and a lot of grace, because I'm not perfect, and I don't think anybody really is, but we all want the same thing, a healthy, strong, safe Arlington where young people can grow up and parents can feel comfortable raising their kids here and feel safe like their kids have a good launching pad into being able to prosper as adults, you know?
Right, true. I mean, I'm seeing our new police chief. I'm seeing it on Twitter, but he is just out in every part of the community and making sure that everybody knows who he is and knows that, if the cops are going to be here for you, whether it be, like you said, if you need to use force, or if it's just to, help clean up some debris or even play basketball or, just they're there for you. So.
Yeah, to build bonds. And I think that a lot of, I've had long talks with him about how some places policing is seen more as military occupation as opposed to a true partner in the community. And I think this entire council, including myself, is committed to having the police integrated as a partner of every single person in Arlington for the betterment of their lives. And I think that's really important. I think we can set a great example for other cities throughout this country if we do it right. And I really want that to happen.
That's true. What do you find is the biggest issue facing the citizens of Arlington right now?
I go back to the aging home situation. If you look at a lot of people, the housing product we have in Arlington is really at the core of the city's existence. And East Arlington and West Arlington, there isn't much room to build new housing. But we compete against other cities like Aledo, Mansfield, Midlothian, Waxahachie, Grapevine, Southlake. And the constant concern I hear over and over again is what is Arlington doing to ensure its older homes remain marketable? Because if the older homes fall into disrepair and aren't very marketable, then the tax base starts to decay. You start having declining funding of city services, and the city gets into a death spiral. All right? And I'm committed to doing everything I can to avoid that. Now, we're lucky because we have 7.5 million people in Dallas-Fort Worth, and according to the North Texas Council of Governments, of which I sit on the executive board of, by 2035, we're going to have 11.7 million people living in Dallas-Fort Worth. And that means because of the location of Arlington, being centrally located very close to the airport, okay, will always give us an advantage because, if one spouse works in Dallas and the other works in Fort Worth, we can live in Arlington. That was the situation with my family for a while. My wife's also an attorney. I have a friend who's mayor of Cleburne, and he says, to get from here to McKinney takes 2 hours on good days, Yep. Well, in Arlington, you can get there a lot faster. So I think that the greatest challenge is capturing the market opportunities we have right now. And by investing in economic development, investing in strong city services, parks, that we can create an environment where we can really capitalize and have our aging housing stock become something that is actually a benefit rather than a challenge in the minds of most people. Because our houses are affordable. If you walk through Woodland West, which has a lot of 1,800, 2,000 square foot homes built in the early 70s, for a long time I was concerned about those homes falling into disrepair and that neighborhood not doing so well. But as I went door to door in my campaign, I would knock on doors, and I'd say over half the homes were owned by younger people. I'm 49, and I define young as anybody under, 40 now because I'm an old man. But they'd come to the door, they'd have 2 kids running around covered with sawdust or paint, and I'd say, why did you bet on Arlington? And they would say, I can afford this house. I have a lot of college debt, but I can afford this house. I know I can fix it up. The streets here are good. The trees here are beautiful. The schools are good. And I just felt like this is a place where I could make a start and launch my life. And that's a powerful statement that I want to continue to nurture and grow in the minds of as many young people as possible. And I think that is the biggest challenge facing the city, because if the housing stock in neighborhoods decline, we're done. So like I said, everything comes back to these older homes and what will cause this new regeneration and rebirth in Arlington that we already see happening, that I hope to continue to nurture and capitalize upon.
True. Think about 10 years from now. How does the city look to you?
I think the city will continue to retain its suburban character in West Arlington, where I live. But I think around the University of Texas at Arlington, you're going to see a growth of density. because that'll become more of a walkable, dense place. It'll continue to grow denser, merging towards downtown and Abram Street and the band shell. I think you'll continue to see some density grow around our entertainment district near the stadiums and the ballpark. You know, we're looking, we have a partnership with the developers over there to build a new office tower into the ballpark and attract a big corporate tenant. I think you'll see a major corporate relocation and some brand new office space that'll be built in the northeast corner of the intersection of Collins Street and in I-30. I think you'll see a major employment investments growing down at the Arlington Municipal Airport, where Bell Helicopter has an experimental facility where they test all their new concepts out. I think we're going to see a lot of aviation-related industry grow down there. But what's really important is that Arlington will still be a good place to live, because we're going to see an increase in home restorations, and we might even see an increase in tear downs and replacements. There are certain places in Arlington where neighborhood housing stock is not really that marketable, and because of the location, you probably see people start tearing down homes and building brand new homes in their place. Not in historically significant portions, but there are parts of town where there isn't that much historical significance related to the structure where that's a feasible and economically desirable thing. I also think you'll continue to see one of the most diverse cities in the United States that's intimately connected with its university. I think UT Arlington over the next 10 years is going to grow more and more integrated into the city. You know, UT Arlington had 18,000 students when I graduated from high school in 1990. Now it's at 46,000. In about 5 years, it'll be bigger than where I went to school, UT Austin, which is 50, and UT Arlington will be bigger than that, more than 50,000 students. Right. And one of the key issues to Arlington's future will be capturing at least 3% of UT Arlington grads and convincing them to stay here and live here. And I think that we really are positioned well to do that as we continue to create an environment downtown that's a little bit more funky, authentic, and has things like the Tipsy Oak and Urban Union. Jay Gilligan's will always be a staple. I think we're going to create an environment where people can buy a house, but yet they have somewhere to go to see their friends and socially congregate. I think you'll see that really grow in downtown as we continue to nurture that authentic environment. You know, Austin has a motto called "Keep Austin Weird," right? And I don't want Arlington to be weird, but I've always thought maybe we can make Arlington funky, you know? Yeah. And if we can, you know, continue to grasp and grow the authenticity of that area and possibly other areas in Arlington too. I'm not saying it's only going to be limited to that location. I think in 10 years, you'll have a vibrant place where you can go out and hang out with your friends in a high energy environment. That's a group of, you know, I'd like to see live music grow in Arlington. What I really want is for the U.S. Post Office to close the post office on South Street near Jay Gilligan's and allow that to be repurposed into, you know, some development with live music. But I think you'll really see a growing art scene in Arlington. I think you'll see a growing music scene in Arlington. But I want to reassure people, look, if you like the suburban house experience, certain portions of Arlington are still going to be that in a few years. It's just that other portions are going to change a bit and provide you an alternative if you want to take a temporary break from the suburban lifestyle experience.
Right, the best of both worlds, really, in the same city.
Exactly, and it really is dynamic. It retains the creative class. It creates an attraction where people buy our older homes and fix them up because they can go to this place that's hip and funky and full of energy when they want to see their friends, you know?
Right. I mean, we do a lot to make sure that the music scene is growing, and as long as the art scene as well. I mean, I'd say we're pretty close with Mark Jokel. And in fact, May 8th is going to be the West Main Arts Festival from 12 to 8. So, again, there's at least 4 stages of music, a boatload of artists that are going to be there. And that essentially is kind of the arts center of Arlington right now. So, I mean, it's just growing, and, you know, I don't see any sign of stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, and it's really exciting. You know, we're making with the Arlington Tomorrow Foundation recently made an investment of $2 million in Theater Arlington. You know, and I grew up I grew up going to a place called CAT, Creative Arts Theater School, and I did a lot of theater growing up. I mean, what's a lawyer but a frustrated actor, right? So, I love the arts. I also love sports too. But, God gave me a certain set of skills where I can't dribble a basketball, but I sure can, act the heck out of a role on stage. But all these arts pieces fit together to create a place where people just like to be, that's not antiseptic, that's organic, that's authentic, that has a heart and a soul to it. And that's why I'm excited about Arlington. I mean, there's possibilities for the Arlington Museum of Art to continue to grow its elements of involvement in the community. If you go out to the Arlington ISD's new Performing Arts Center, built over near the stadiums off Pioneer, man, that place is an incredible facility.
Yeah,
and it would be cool to be able to pull together all the different performance facilities like Arlington Music Hall, like the new Performing Arts Center for the school district, like Jade Gilligan's, like other places where we have performance opportunities, and have like a mini South by Southwest type thing. Now, I'm not being unrealistic here. South by Southwest is a monster. But I think that we can have something that's even 1/10 or 1/100th of that. It would still be really cool. And it could also relate to our university as well, the young creative class that relates to that kind of celebration of humanity, so to speak.
Well, I know there is, in fact, I believe it's the first weekend in October. I just happened to be lucky enough to sit in with a meeting that Garrett Martin was having. He worked with downtown Arlington. It is going to be a kind of Americana folk singer-songwriter kind of festival. They're going to have the big places are going to be Texas Live, Arlington Music Hall, and Levitt, and then there's going to be a bunch of smaller venues as well. So, I mean, that looks to be very promising and very impressive. And I believe it's the second weekend of ACL, so we might get some bleed over from the people that were down at ACL as well.
That would come up. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. I mean, some people believe ACL's become real corporate and not really that sincere. So I think there's an opening right now for something more organic, and it would be cool if Arlington was at the forefront of that. But a lot of what this requires is imagination and a vision, and Arlington is kind of self-imposed, put itself in the box when I was growing up as just a bedroom community. We ain't that. We're the 38th largest city in the United States. I'm sorry, 47th largest city in the United States. My apologies. And,
well, that's before the census.
Yeah, before the new census, we're going to move up. And, we're 400,000 people, and we're growing. And, we need to start thinking, with big city status comes big city challenges. Okay, we have to fight poverty in Arlington. We have to deal with affordable housing. Those are all things we should not, sweep under the rug and ignore. We have to take care of them. But what really helps with those efforts is when you have a dynamic community where young people want to buy your houses and fix them up because it's a neat place to live,
It's exactly right. We have a segment on the show called Tournament of Toppings, where we're trying to find the best pizza place in Arlington. What is your favorite pizza place in Arlington?
I like Mama's Pizza.
Okay.
Growing up, I always went to Mama's because they use premium cheese, and it just always tasted a lot better than anybody else. Now, the only location in Arlington now is off North Fielder, and there in the shopping center at Fielder and Randall Mill. Gosh, that's so good. And whenever I get my druthers, I always take the opportunity to order one of those pizzas. Now I'm old and fat. I just can't eat a whole one by myself anymore. I have to limit myself to maybe a fourth of a pizza. So I'm very picky about my pizza quality, and I just love that pizza. But it's possibly too related to the nostalgia effect as well. There's lots of other good places, oh my gosh, the place that's across from Arlington High School, Nikkie's. That's really good too. And then I'll be honest, there's a place in the Parks Mall that's been there since the place opened. That's really good too. It's at the corner of the food court. And that pizza is really, really good as well. And then there's No, not Sbarro. It's a different place. I can't remember the name of it, but not the cliche Sbarro. Right. Now you're going to make me look it up because I want to give them a shout out. But it's really good. But Roman Delight, they're called Roman Delight Pizza. Okay, I really like their pizza. And then you also have Prespa's, which is in Arlington as well, and Moni's.
Right.
And but there are a lot of good places, but I'll have to say that Mama's is my favorite.
Yeah, I mean it is definitely one of the more popular ones that we've gotten. So if people want to follow you, support you, donate, find you on social media or your website, where can they do so?
Well, Andrew Piel for Arlington is my website, and there's a link there if you want to sign up or work, volunteer, or donate. But I also have a Facebook page, Re-elect Andrew Piel, Arlington City Council, which, if I'm lucky enough to win on May 1st, will change back to Andrew Piel of Arlington City Council. But you can follow stuff there. And I also have a personal Facebook page, just Andrew Piel, where, if you live in Arlington and you kind of pass my scan to make sure you're not someone that's out to cause trouble, I like to make friends in Arlington. And, and what I do is when I get work session information, I like to put it up and disseminate it to everybody. Like if you go there right now, you'll find that I posted several of the items from the city's presentation on our Cooper Street study for the revitalization of Cooper Street. Whenever we do the budget, I post up a lot of information in easy to understand format to help people understand the decisions we're making relating to the city budget. Whenever we redid the Master Parks Plan and improved that a few months ago, I put up the portions of the Master Parks Plan that affect West Arlington. So I really think that, there's a trust deficit between people and government right now. So I'm trying to do my part to let people know, look, we really are trying to do the right thing down here at Arlington. And here's some information to help you form your own opinion as to what they're doing. Now, that being said, I've been married to a lawyer for 24 years and subject to intense cross-examination 24 hours a day for 24 years. I know I make mistakes, and I'm wrong sometimes. And while I will, say everybody at the City of Arlington I've met so far is well-meaning and hardworking, sometimes they make mistakes too because we're all human. So if somebody has an issue and needs to tell me I need to do a better job, they should call me at my cell phone number, which is 817-366-8810, 817-366-8810, or text me. Or you can email me at my city email address, andrew.piel@arlingtontx.gov. And you know what? I'm all for finding a way to be better. And I know I'm not always right. So if you have an opinion or I need to hear from you or I need to know about something you feel like that's being ignored, call me, text me, email me, let me know. Because when you do that, you'll help me be a better city councilman.
I mean, that's amazing. If they want to get a hold of you, there's no better way than either text, call, or email. So, Andrew, I do appreciate your time, and we look forward to talking to you one way or the other after May 1st.
Sounds good. I hope to be involved no matter the outcome of the election one way or the other because I love this city. And hopefully, John, you and I will be able to sit down and have an adult beverage and tell some jokes, talk about Arlington sometime. All right?
I mean, I live in District 4, so, yeah, I have no problem with that.
Good deal. Then we will do that.
Yeah. Then I love it.
All right, John, I appreciate the opportunity, and I thank for all you're doing to promote the arts and music in Arlington, and hopefully somewhere I'll be able to work in concert with you to do that. All right?
I look forward to it, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
All right. Have a good day, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much to our guests. Obviously, any city council member, district, somebody who's running any kind of political thing, we always want to have you on to talk about why you love our city, why you want to represent the citizens of Arlington. We really appreciate it. Andrew Piel, thank you so much. We have a lot more of these interviews coming. The elections are May 1st, but you can early vote now. So make sure that you go and do that.
Friday, April 23rd, we've got Fifth Son, Sly Fungi, and Learning Names at Growl. It is at 8 p.m. and it is free.
On Saturday, April 24th, the Arlington Foodies Farmers Market in Pantego at Bicentennial Park from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. You know, great hours for that. At night, spring night. Are you kidding me? It's going to be beautiful. Go out there, get some food, get some, I'm sure they'll have some bands out there playing. Like, just go check it out.
Also Saturday at Dr. Jekyll's Beer Lab, live original music. Phil Hawley at 9 p.m. The Crubs at 10 p.m. And the Trespassers.
The Cubes, I think.
Well, I'd say it might be a Cubes. There's no R in there.
I saw an R. The Cubes at 10 p.m. and the Trespassers at 11 p.m. And that is free.
Starting May 6th, Grounds of Gold will be hosting the open mic on Thursdays from 5 to 7. I will be hosting starting May 6th every other week. So there will be a couple weeks you don't get me, and I'm so sorry. But you can listen to the podcast and you get me every week. So, you know.
So at Create Arlington, every second and fourth Tuesday, they're doing an open mic poetry night. We talked to Mark about this a little bit on Saturday, and he said it really has been big on spoken word. They have had other people out and doing things, but spoken word is kind of what drives that open mic, which is pretty cool because, you know, like as Mark was telling us on an interview that you will hear soon, there's no
to do it.
They did get him to do it, but there's, you know, there's that space for people that necessarily aren't into doing music or they're not really a visual artist, but a way to express themselves. And I think that's really cool. I think there needs to be a space for that too.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some people come out at Grounds and Gold that are poets, and it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I love that. And of course, we've said it. We'll say it again. We'll continue to say it. The West Main Arts Festival, May 8th. Come out. Noon to 8. If you need to find it, put in your phone 306 West Main Street. You'll find it. There's plenty of parking, food, beer, music, 4 stages. Gonna be awesome.
I would say that we'll be there, and I think we got some surprises up our sleeves. I don't want to give anything away, but like, come out, come find us, and I think it's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, you too could get a sticker.
Yeah.
You too can get an Arlington Citizen Media sticker.
Absolutely. So while doing all of these things, thankfully we can finally start doing all these things. And while you're doing it, don't forget to
make sure to go out and eat local, drink local, and
go rediscover your city.
Tag us and send those pictures over to us on Facebook, Arlington Citizen Media, Twitter, ATX Citizen Media. Tag us on Instagram, Arlington Citizen Media, and send those pictures the old-fashioned way. Email arlingtoncitizenmedia@gmail.com. Also go to our website, www.arlingtoncitizenmedia.com. Don't forget to subscribe and give those 5-star reviews of the downtown at Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and also hit us on SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and YouTube.